We will continue that lesson today and we will conclude our textual criticism tonight. Okay. As we discussed before, uh, what is textual criticism and why we need textual criticism and so on. So we have discussed this and other little things. So first of all, what does that mean, textual criticism? Especially if when we find criticism in the sense that it's not to be criticizing, but it is critical engagement or critical evaluation of that given word. That means if we are saying textual criticism, we have been critically engaging what textual variants are there. So I make this reminder. Okay, why we need textual criticism? Because our Bible or the current Bible is the process of or past is copying of many times before reaching to our hands. So the earlier manuscripts were once they become aged and copies were made by hand, and we have thousands and thousands of them, copies of copies. So these copies are distributed throughout the Christian world. This one is to Greek-speaking world or Greek-Roman world, and so on. So this mm, time after sometimes they are translated to receptor language. We call it that the original language is Greek language and the receiving language such as Syriac, Coptic, Ge'ez or the Ethiopic, Aramaic, Gregorian, Slavonic and Latin. These are receptor languages. So they are translated to this receptor language. So we have the more than 5,000 handwritten copies surviving today in Greek. That means we have the 5,000 manuscripts are written in the original language and thousands more in ancient translations, plus huge number shows how important the New Testament was, and the huge number of witnesses give us great confidence that the event really happened. That means our certainty of our Bible or biblical materials, and since the copies were made by hand, so there is a small difference between the copies. So we call it that textual variant, but despite this variant, the miracle is almost we have similar biblical content material to that of the original one. So all copies look the same. No, some are just a scrap of a page. For example, P52 is a scrap of a page. Other are the whole New Testament or Bible in Codex, or the plural is Codex and the singular is Codex. That means this is the Latin word. So that means book. Most are somewhere in between. So not all books are the same age, as we discussed before. They vary according to their age. For example, P52 is dated to 125 AD, and most dated in between 500 and 1000 AD. So we know this is the Byzantine time. Eastern Roman Empire was established during this time. And we know the fall of Western Roman Empire was around 476 onward to that one. So the current city of Istanbul and Constantinople, that is, its ancient name was Constantinople, was established. So most of the date, as we discussed here, so most of the manuscripts are dated around this age, in this uh, during this civilization time, or the establishment of the Eastern Roman Empire. So the earliest date, as I said before, P52, 125 AD, so around 350 AD. So we have both the New Testament and the Old Testament in codex form. That means in book form, even though it is not written in the paper, but compiled in book form. We have this in codex form. That, of course, the codex are prepared by the goat skin and different materials. So we have this compiled Bible during 350 AD. So textual history in the last 500 years, that means the last from 1000 to 1500 onward. So we know in 1516, Erasmus is the forerunners of the Reformationists. So Erasmus prepared his first printed Greek edition by using 8 manuscripts from Byzantine, dating from 10 to 15th centuries. So during that time, there are lectionaries are there. So this forms the base for Textus Receptus. Because this is Textus Receptus, means receiving text. So his work is the base. His work is the base for the preparation of Textus Receptus. So we have Textus Receptus, for example, we have in 1624, Elzevir is there, and also there are some other Textus Receptus was prepared based on the work of Erasmus. So this is what was the textual history in the last 500 years. This is, we know that in 1440, the discovery of printing machine by German, with Johannes Gutenberg. We know that after that we have the first material that was printed was the Bible. So after that, the Bible becomes available for the ordinary people. Before that, the Bible was limited for the elites only. So this anticipated the Reformation as well. So after the discovery of printing machine, these materials were distributed throughout the world. So that was this time, that was during this time that Erasmus prepared this his own first printed Greek New Testament by using 8 manuscripts. These 8 manuscripts are dated from 10th to 15th centuries. So we have based on that he compiled this manuscript into one, and this helps to it becomes the foundation to preparing the Textus receptors. So Textus receptors were developed, and then Textus receptor, there is not just one Textus receptors. Textus receptor refers to the publishing tradition starting with Erasmus, began similar but not exactly the same to majority text. text called Byzantine texts are read. Textus Recepta was a Greek text that was used. So English, German, Russian, King James Version, Luther translation, and so on. So from these Textus Receptus, we find translations translated by different countries' language. In English, of course, before King James Version, we have Tyndale's Bible was there, and also we know John Wycliffe was there. So the ancestors of this text, King James version was that. So not only that, but also Luther also translated prepared the first German Bible or the Bible in Germany, in German language. So we have also Russian synod, synodal. So these are the ones that was translated by the help of Textus Receptus. That means Textus Receptus used the earlier manuscripts. So based on that, this translation was made. So late manuscripts from Byzantine are not only the Greek texts, but they were ones that go to Western Europe first and becomes the text behind the Textus Receptus and the King James Luther Bible and Western Synod plus most other pre-19th, 20th centuries translations. So over the last 200 years, the manuscript become available, especially of that type. Why? Because we this and other findings were specially brought for the manuscript commercialization was there. So they are sold to the different countries. So they were named this because they come from Alexandria, Egypt, or nearby. And Codex Sinaiticus, these are, as we discussed before, this is the first compiled Bible that has both the Old Testament and the New Testament. Septuagint, that means the Septuagint and Greek New Testament. We have this in Codex Sinaiticus, that is Sinai, it is derived or it is original or it is initial site was Sinai. That's why it's named as Codex Sinaiticus. So Codex means book, as we discussed before, but it's not doesn't mean that it is like በፔፐር ላይክ ሳይሆን ሌላ ማቴሪያል የተጠቀሙበት ለማንኛውም እንደ ቡክ እንደ መጽሐፍ በመጽሐፍ መልክ የተዘጋጀ ነው። So we have this, we can access by using this search engine. So you will have this access. If you copy this on your Google, then you will find this Codex Sinaiticus. So, and also Codex Vaticanus, almost all in New Testament in Greek, dated around 320, kept in the Vatican Library probably since 15th century. However, was not accessible to scholars until 19th century. You read by using this site. So just ይህንን ኮፒ አድርጋችሁ ሰርች ስታደርጉ ታገኛላችሁ። የኮዴክስ ቫቲካኑስን ይሁን ሳይናቲከስ በዚህ ሳይት ዌብሳይት የምታገኙት ይሆናል። ስለዚህ ይህንን ኮፒ አድርጋችሁ መሞከር ትችላላችሁ። ምን አይነት ጽሁፎች ናቸው? ኮዴክስ ሳይናቲከስ፣ ኮዴክስ ቫቲካንስ ምን አይነት ጽሁፎች ናቸው የሚለውን ሰርች ማድረግ ይቻላል። So this is a website for the Codex Vaticanus, and this one is for that of Sinaiticus. Okay. Other fragments were inside, for example, we know this P52, part of 14 verses from Gospel of John, dated to around 120 AD, bought on Egyptian antiquities market in 1920 and at the University of Manchester. And P46 means most of the Paul's letter. This date is around 280 and so on. So these are primary Alexandrian witnesses. That means they confirm about the Alexander, they are copied from Alexandrian witnesses. That Alexandrian texts, primary, this one is P45 in Acts, P46, P66, P75, and this the Codex Vaticanus, and so on. So Sahidic in part. So these are the primary Alexandrian witnesses. We clarify that one. Secondary Alexandrian witnesses, these are in different lectionaries are there, and codices are there, different codices, Codex Beza, Codex Vaticanus, and so on. So these are secondary Alexandrian witnesses, and also they are Western witnesses, because and we have also Byzantine witnesses. We discussed that one, and based on that, we have also eclectic edition. That means compiling these and other ancient materials and comparing these ancient materials and then rating them. We have eclectic selecting or choosing from various sources and choosing the best. That means rating, we call it that rating. So ሬት የተደረገ እነዚህን የተለያዩ ማቴሪያሎችን ባንድ ያሰባሰበ የተለያዩ ኦፕሽኖችን አስቀምጦ ገምግሞ ይሄኛው ትክክል ነው ይሄኛው ሰርቴን ነው ብሎ ሬት የሚያደርግልን እነዚህ ሞደርን ኤክሊክት ኤዲሽኖች አሉ። ኦኬ ሁለት አይነት ኤክሊክት ኤዲሽኖች አሉ። ዩቢኤስ አለን ሚስትል አላንድ አለን ማለት ነው። ሶ this is UBS 5th edition United Bible Society. I have already sent what look like it is. Already I have sent this Nestlaland blue-green one, and not based on just one ancient text. These materials prepared by textual critics looked at all ancient manuscripts and choose what they think is the best reading. They have their own criteria. So how do the UBS and NA Netherlands edition decide which text they will follow? They have used external evidences, age of the resource. That means, in which date of this age means it's date of original. በየትኛው ጊዜ ነው ያ ማኑስክሪፕት የተዘጋጀ? that is age. ኤርሊየር ከሆነ ምንድነው ሞር ሪሊያብል ነው ማለት ነው። the earlier it becomes, the more reliable. So quality of manuscript in relation to other sources. Quality of manuscripts እንዴት ነው? የተገኘበት ቦታ ማተር ያደርጋል። ኳሊቲው የሚወስነው የተገኘበት ቦታ ነው። ሶ አሌክሳንድሪያ ዊትነስ ለምሳሌ አሌክሳንድሪያ ዊትነስ ከሆነ ሞር ክሬዲብል ነው ወይንም ሞር ሪሊያብል ነው። ስለዚህ ነምበር ኦፍ ማኑስክሪፕትስ በተለይ ነምበር ኦፍ ማኑስክሪፕት ወደ ብዙ ቋንቋ ስለተተረጎሙ ብቻም ሳይሆን የተተረጎሙበት ወይንም ጥራቱ ምን አይነት ነው? ነምበር ኦፍ ማኑስክሪፕት የማኑስክሪፕት ጥራት ምን አይነት ነው? ኦኬ እነዚህ ነገሮች ኤክስተርናል ኤቪደንስ ነው የምንላቸው። ኢንተርናል ኤቪደንስ ሾርተር ሪዲንግ difficult reading. ያው ቴክስቹዋል ቫሪያንት ለመስራት ይሄኛው በደንብ ይጠቅማል። most consistent reading with author style and theology reading that best explain how other readings arose. So this is the internal evidence. Just look that one by using example. So which text should we have? Text receptors or UBS? Most likely we use UBS text, but for comparison purpose, we use text as receptors. Already we discussed what does that mean, text as receptors, and what does that mean, UBS. So UBS is recent, while that of text as receptors is earlier than that of UBS text. But even though that is the case, this is UBS is modern eclectic edition because it compiles the earliest manuscript, and not only compiling that ancient manuscript, but also it gives us rating. So we have the rating in UBS text. So that's why it is preferable to use text UBS. But we use text as receptors in order to compare these manuscripts as well. We can also use the other translations in Russian Synod and so on. Not only that, but also equivalent to Russian Synod, we have Greek and Latin translations for there. So we use these translations for the comparison. So US committee uses rating. We will discuss what does that mean. So first of all, as we discussed before, what are textual apparatus? These are the modern eclectic textual apparatus. We have both New Testament, US United Bible Society, 5th edition, and Netherlands 28th editions are there. A textual apparatus shows when there is a significant textual difference. It gives a rating for how sure they are about the takers they have chosen. It gives alternative measure variation. Doesn't always tell us when text receptor is different, of course, as we discussed before. Which text shall we use as that text receptors or this textual apparatus? That means textual, this modern eclipses. We have this modern eclipses are preferable than that of text receptors. So UBS ratings are there as we discussed before. UBS rating was certain, letter A indicates the text is certain. So the letter B indicates that the text is almost certain. The letter C, however, indicates that the committee had difficulty in deciding which variant to place in the text. So we have this rating. We'll do by using an example. So letter D, which occurs only rare, indicates that the committee had a great difficulty in arriving at decision. And also, this is not only the case, but also there are also other signs also used. We'll find, and I have already given the page number of UBS 5. I think from page 40, around page 8 up to 46, you will find these abbreviations. What does that mean? This diamond, what are these ratings are there? So you are expected to read the symbols. So there are different symbols are there. You will find also in Netherlands 28th edition, I have already sent that book. So you will find at the beginning of the page, these abbreviations. So this abbreviation is only you find abbreviated form. You will do by using example. So what does that mean? This diamond? What does that mean? This brass embrace? Yeah. So you will, yeah. You see page 8 up to 46, and also Bruce Metzger, textual commentary on the Greek New Testament. This book is found in the just PC Study Bible. If you have PC Study Bible 5, so you will find that one in that Bible software. So you are expected to download and upload in your computer this PC Study Bible, unless it is very difficult to do your textual criticism. Not only that, but also we will do word study. So, of course, I'm trying to download and upload this material to you. Of course, I have sent this UBS 5 and Nistalalan 28th edition. I'll try to also find the other resources. Just ANS, ANS archive, ansarchive.org. Then if you search by using this and then try to find the resources, available resources are there. This ANS, I think ANS. So this archive.org, you can search by using this, and you will have different resources out there. Most of the time it is easy, but we'll choose a longer one. We'll choose a longer step. Okay, so there are steps. How do we come to a decision? Okay, steps are there. First of all, use 5 critical apparatus and decoders. Just you must use example, not simply, since you have been expected to do like this. I have been sharing some material. Please wait. Okay. Okay, first of all, just we start under that mean textual variant, acknowledging the textual variant. This is in John 1:18. ዮሐንስ ወንጌል ምዕራፍ 1 ቁጥር 18ን ሄደን ስንመለከት በአማርኛችን እንኳን የተለያዩ ሬዲንጎችን ነው የምናገኘው። መጀመሪያ ይሄ ክፍል ቴክስቹዋል ቫሪያንት አለው ወይስ የለውም የሚለውን ነገር ማየት አለብን። Ok. Italian है. Okay. This is what we have been discussing. So we find this one. As we discussed before, this is rating. The rating is B. So this is John chapter 1, verse 18. We have these symbols. I have already shared about this book. This is what we call the UBS 5. So all the things are abbreviated here. The language is also in Greek. So we have monogenes theos is there, and this is supported by Papyrus 66, and also this one is Alexandrian Witness, Codex Vaticanus, Codex Beza, Lectionaries, Syrian, and the other Georgians, Oregon also Church Father, Didymos, Cyril, and you will find also 2/4 is there. That means their other cites that 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 specific usage was cited out of four occurrence, twice cited by Oregon, and so on. The reading is like that. So there are also other abbreviations. There's a family one, family at 13, 28, 150, and so on. This is the related readings. What does that mean? This abbreviation you will find in your page 8 up to 46. So first of all, we call it that decoding. So first of all, just see your nasal aligned textual apparatus. So, and next to that, see your UBS textual apparatus. So, but your dependency is based on UBS 5. So, when you compare this UBS and Mr. Aland, UBS may not give us the exact variation or type of variation, variant reading, for that exact variant reading is not given by the UBS 5. In order to have this variant reading, you use Nistalaland, then and check Nistalaland, and we'll discuss what their difference. This is Novum Testamentum, Nistalaland. Okay. Okay. Have you seen this material? So, in the difference between Novem Testamentum Nestilaland and US 5 is that you will find the exact type of the textual variant in the Nestilaland. Then, yeah, ትክክለኛውን ወይንም ምን እንደሆነ ክፍሉ ላይ ያለው ቫሪያንት በግልጽ የሚያስቀምጥልን Nestilaland ነው። Okay, for example, when you say John, this one is Katalukan, John. Katalukan, really Katalukan is according to Luke. Katamarkon is according to Mark. Katairoanon is according to John. Okay. Katairoanon. Okay, this is the, we can copy this and put on the slide. So this is what I have copied from the Nestilaland. So have you seen this one? Theos dies, Euracomien, Pepote, Monogenes Theos, Ho Ion Easton, Clipon to Patron Ignos Exestor. So this is, would you see this one? This ይሄኛውን ምልክት አይታችኋል? እዚህ እንደ ቅንፍ ነገር የሚመስለው. So this shows that the existence of textual variant. That means we have this textual variant in that specific verse. So not only this, but also there is also T ሚል ነገር ማለት ይላል. So type of textual variant ጭምር ነው የሚነግረን. ኔስትላላንድ መጀመሪያ ኔስትላላንድን እናያለን። ከዛ ዩቤስ 5 ላይ እንሄድና ደግሞ ኦፍኮርስ ሁለቱም ተመሳሳይ ነገር አላቸው። ነገር ግን ዩናይትድ ባይብል ሶሳይቲ ላይ ያለው ሬቲንግ ጋር ነው። ሬቲንግ ስላለው እሱን የበለጠ እናያለን። ይሄኛው ደግሞ አድቫንቴጅ ምንድነው? ታይፕ ኦፍ ቫሪያንት ለምሳሌ this one is transposition, sorry this one is transposition, this one is insertion። ምልክቱ ይሄ ነው፣ ኢንሰርሽን ነው ይለናል። ይሄኛው ደግሞ ትራንስፖዚሽን ይለናል። ሶ ታይፕ ኦፍ ቫሪያንትን ለማወቅ ይጠቅመናል ማለት ነው። ኔስትላላንድ እና ዩኤስ 5ን ኢንተርቼንጅብል እንጠቀማቸዋለን ማለት ነው። ሶ when you compare So when you examine this, when you examine the first of all, just read your you call it your pericope, we call it pericope, specific text that you have doing for your exegesis, and then you just will discuss that one. How do we delimit a given exegetical passage and how to observe a given things are there. So first of all, look this given pericope in this in the modern eclipse, as we discussed before. We have Misgar, um, Misgar Bruce are there, Nistlaland and US 5 is there. These are textual apparatus. So look, observe your text in that given specific textual apparatus. So when you compare this in different textual apparatus, you will see there are textual variants. እነዚህ ምልክቶች ኮንቪነንት ናቸው፣ ስምምነቶች ናቸው። ስለዚህ የምልክቶቹን ትክክለኛ ሲምቦል ምን እንደሆነ ሄደን መጽሐፍ ላይ ሄደን እናይታለን። ቅድም እንዳየነው ሞኖጌኔስ ቲዮስ የሚለውን በዚህ መልኩ አስቀምጦታል። The bracket, this bracket indicates that the closed words are involved in significant textual variation within the manuscript tradition. In this case, the variation concerns the wording itself rather than merely word doctors and witnesses read monogenes theos, while other reads monogenes oios. So, as we compare the linear across different textual traditions, particularly in the majority text and text receptors, you notice that some translation renders the phrase with oios instead of God, theos, where with or without that, the natural expression of translators follow different understanding Greek texts at this point. So first of all, just read your verse in different textual, different versions. For example, no one has seen when you see this specific verse in ESV, no one has ever seen God. The only God who is at the Father's side, he has made him known. ASV use the only God, and KJV use the only begotten Son, and NAS use the only begotten God, and NIV use the only and only Son. In our Amharic, Andiya. This is the only and only Son. Whereas KJV, and the only begotten, Andiya. And okay. This one is Andiya. This is the only and NIV line in Andiya. Exegesis address. Okay. Sorry. ክፍሉን ሄደን ስናነብ በተለያዩ ትራንስሌሽኖች በተለያዩ ቨርዥኖች including our Amharic. So we have different readings are there. መቼም ቢሆን እግዚአብሔርን ያየው አንድስ እንኳ የለም፣ በአባቱ እቅፍ ያለ አንድ ልጁ እርሱ ተረከው። አንድያ ልጁ አንድ ልጁ, that is the difference. So RSV uses the only Son, whereas that of Byzantine text monogenes oios, and ልጁ, whereas that of Nistlaland uses monogenes theos, and አምላክ, whereas US 5 also uses monogenes ቲዮስ አንድ አለ። ኦኬ። ስለዚህ ይሄ የሚያሳየን ምንድነው? ባጭሩ ቴክስቹዋል ቫሪያንት ሪዲንግ በዚህ ስፔሲፊክ ቴክስት ላይ አለ። ኦልሬዲ የእንግሊዝኛውን ትራንስሌሽን ለማሳየት ያህል ነው እንጂ ይሄንን የመጀመሪያ ስራችን እነዚህ ቴክስቹዋል አፓራተስ ላይ ክፍሉ ቴክስቹዋል ቫሪያንት አለ ወይስ የለውም? ካለው ደግሞ ምን አይነት ቫሪያንት ነው? ታይፕ ኦፍ ቫሪያንቱ ምንድን ነው? ቅድም እንዳየነው ትራንስሎኬሽን ነው ወይስ ኢንሰርሽን ነው ወይስ የተለያዩ ቫሪያንት እንትኖች አሉ፣ ካቴጎሪዎች አሉ። የትኛው ቫሪያንት ነው የሚለውን ነገር እናያለን ማለት ነው። ይሄን የምናየው የተለያዩ ሪዲንግ የተለያዩ ቃላቶችን እንደተጠቀሙ ነው። how do we decide whether የትኛውን ነው ታዲያ ትክክል? ሁሉ ነገሮች አይተናል፣ እነዚህ ቫሪ ያደርጋሉ። stating the problem, first of all, just state the problem. Both UBS 5 and Nistlalan 28th edition reads monogenes theos without the article, whereas the Byzantine translations read monogenes theos. The textual divergence is reflected in several English translations, as we discussed before. The English Standard Version renders the phrase the only God. King James Version translated the only begotten Son, and the New International Version reads the one and only Son. Many scholars of the reading for monogenes Oyos is stylistically smoother and theologically more familiar, and therefore likely presents easier reading comparison to monogenes theos. Nevertheless, UBS 5 and Nistlaland 28th edition prefer monogenes theos. And like የሚለውን የሚጠቀሙት እንዳየነው ከፍ በላይ presently on the base of stronger early manuscript support and internal textual critical consideration indicating the principle that the more difficult reading is often preferred. Okay, first of all, just as we discussed before, look the textual variant reading in the apparatus by using the apparatus as we discussed before. When we use this is the UBS 5, if first of all identify the type of variant and go to your UBS. Okay, when you observe UBS, you have, first of all, you have this rating. Yeah, special. Okay. When you look these things, just roughly ስናየው ምንድን ነው ምን አለ እዚህ ውስጥ እቺን ሁለት መስመር እናያለን አይደል? ሁለት ስላሽ ነገር ሌላም ስላሽ አለ። እንደዚህ ሁለት ስላሾች ደብል ስላሾች ያሉበትን ቦታ ማለት ነው። ነገ በኋላ እናየዋለን ማለት ነው። ኦኬ፣ ወደ ስላይዳችን እንምጣ። ስለዚህ ቢያንስ ምን አይተናል? ቴክስቹዋል ቫሪያንት ሪዲንግ የተለያዩ ትራንስሌሽኖች ላይ የተለያዩ ነገሮች እንዳሉ አይተናል። ኦኬ, how do we decide? We'll discuss that one. First of all, just this is what I have copied from UBS 5. So you will have this. This is the rating as we discussed before. UBS 5 gives B rating for this specific textual variant reading. What does that mean? B rating. B rating means this one is the first given before this slash, this double ይሄኛው ከዚህ በፊት ያለው ይሄ ኤ ማለት ነው። ከዚህ ቀጥሎ ደግሞ ያለው ይሄ ቢ ማለት ነው። እስከ ልክ ሁለተኛ ሌላ ስላሽ እስኪመጣ ድረስ ያለው ማለት ነው። ሌላ ስላሽ አላጋጠመንም እስካሁን ድረስ የት ድረስ ማለት ነው? እዚህ ድረስ ማለት ነው። ይሄ ሁሉ ምንድነው? የቢ ሬቲንግ ነው ማለት ኤቪደንሶች ናቸው እነዚህ። በነገራችን ላይ ሞኖጌነስ ቲዮስ ለምን ተባለ የሚለውን ነገር ኤቪደንስ ናቸው። እሺ ይሄን ካረግን ስለዚህ ስለነዚህ ጉዳዮች ያው የተወሰነ ቅድምም አንስተናል። ምን ማለት ነው? እነዚህ ጉዳዮች ማለት ምንድን ናቸው? ፓፒረስ this one, this is Alexandrian, this Coptic, and Clement from three occurrence, you mentioned two of them, and also not only that, Clement also from Theodosius, he takes this and so on, Origen also, Eusebius and so on. These are the, okay, we'll discuss that one. You know, observing the decoding. This is we call it that decoding. Establish of the textual problem. First step is textual criticism is the identification of a genuine textual variant. Within the critical text in John 1:18, comparison of the Nestalan 28th edition and US 5 with the Byzantine and textus receptor tradition reveals the significant variation in the Christological designation of this Greek word. Okay, for that, what is that readings? Some manuscripts says monogenes theos, some says homogenes theos, that means the difference is an article here. The other says homogenes theos, this is completely different. The other says homogenes theos. This is also an extra elaboration here. The other says homogenes, as we discussed here. That is, some says monogenes theos, some says homogenes theos, and some says after this mark monogenes theos. If you shade this with different color, homogenes theos, the other says homogenes theos, and this one is also, we have also this one also. Sorry. Some says homogenes theos. This is also the other option. This is also the other option. So how many options are there? One option, two options, three options, the fourth option, the fifth option. So we have these options. These options are put in their own textual reading action. ስንመለከት የመጀመሪያ ደረጃ የተሰጠው ይሄኛው ሪዲንግ ነው። ሁለተኛ ደረጃ ይሄኛው ነው። ሶስተኛ፣ አራተኛ፣ አምስተኛ እያለ ነው። ኦኬ ይሄንን በኮሚቴ ነው እንግዲህ ኮሚቴው ስትሮንግሊ አግሪ ካደረገ ይሄኛው አግሪ የሚያደርግበት ራሱ መቻል ኤቪደንስ ሰፖርት ሲሆን ነው። ኤኒዌይ ሞኖጌነስ ቲዮስ ነው በጣም ኢርሊየስት በሆኑ ማኑስክሪፕቶች የሚደገፍ ነው። ሆሞኖጌነስ ቲዮስ እንደዚሁ። ነገር ግን ቢ ነው የሰጡት ለዚህ ሆሞኖጌነስ ቲዮስ የሚለውን ከዚህ በፊት ኤቪደንስ ቤዝድ ነው ብለው ይሄ ዲሳይድ አድርገዋል ማለት ነው። እኛም ምንም እንኳን እነሱ የደረሱበት ዲሲሽን ቢኖርም ነገር ግን እኛ የሄዱበትን መንገድ ኢቫሉዌት የማድረግ አክሴስ ስላለን ጀስት ስቴፖችን እንከተል እና ኢቫሉዌት እናድርግ። ኦኬ፣ ስለዚህ የተለያዩ ሪዲንጎችን አይተናል ማለት ነው። Okay, when you look at the bottom of this page in the Greek New Testament, the critical apparatus, here is how to read the typical interview using these symbols. The variant, you will see the word from the text followed by symbols. This is writing. These symbols are used to actual Greek text or the footnote apparatus to describe the certainty or state of the text. So the editorial committee to grade how confident they are that the printed text represents the original one. If they rate A, they are certain. If they give B rating, almost a 10. If they put C rating, the committee had difficulty deciding on that text, doubtful text. And when there's very high degree of doubt, that is, what does that mean, these ratings? Okay. So this is what does that mean? There are witnesses, a list of symbols will follow. For example, this one is Alexandrian, this one is Vaticanus, and so on. This is the lectionary, these are the Coptics are hiding. This is the lectionary. So this means Codex Sinaiticus. This is Codex Sinaiticus. This Aleph, the Hebrew letter, the first initial letter of Aleph. This one is abbreviated. This Aleph is, when you find this Aleph, this is in your decoding. If you find this Aleph here, this is Codex Sinaiticus. This one is Papyrus 66, and also Vaticanus. This one is Codex Vaticanus. When you find the B here, this one is Codex Vaticanus. And also minuscules are there, 32 and 892 is the minuscule code, and Coptic Sahidic version all supported, as I said before. This one is Coptic Sahidic. It's if this is SA ካለው እዚህ ጋር ኮፕቲክ ሳይዲክ ሶስት አይነት ኮፕቲኮች አሉ እነሱን ለማለት ነው። Okay, and the other thing is the alternative, you will see double flash here or specific separator followed by different reading. I have already introduced that one. So alternative witness another list, ACD Byzantine, elect it. This means Codex Alexandrinus. This one is, if you find the capital letter A or the caps block of the Greek letter alpha, then the Greek alphabet, Alexandrinus. This is the Greek caps block of the Greek alphabet. This is simply Alexandrinus, Codex Beza, and then majority text BYZ. If you find this BYZ, majority text lectionary text, how do you get that? And then the old Latin, it supports the alternative. Patristic evidences, you may see or GR or Z, Origen in Greek, or Augustine in Latin. If you see 1/3, it means Origen is inconsistent. So materials of the New Testament textual criticism, Greek manuscripts, the primary material for this task are Greek manuscripts, ancient version, and patristic citations, as we discussed before. So these categories collectively provide textual base for the modern critical edition of the Greek New Testament, Mitzvah and Quran. So Greek manuscripts, Greek manuscripts is the foundational evidence for textual criticism. They are papyrus, or the plural is papyri, majuscules or anchals, manuscripts, and lectionaries are. These are Greek manuscripts. when የጥንት ቅጅ ናቸው የምንላቸው እነዚህን ነው ማለት ነው ቫሉት የምናደርገው ወይም እነዚህም በኮድ የተቀመጡልንን ዲኮድ ማድረግ ማለት ነው። ከዛ የሚሰጡን ክራይቴሪያዎች ኢቫሉዌት ማድረግ ማለት ነው። ስለዚህ እነዚህ ምንድን ናቸው? ፓፒሪ፣ ማጁስክልስ፣ ኢንቺያልስ፣ ማኒስክልስ and lectionaries are these are the Greek manuscripts. Okay, this is Greek. What is the papyri? This one is P52. You will find this manuscript in the internet. ቅድም በሰጧችሁ ዌብሳይት አማካኝነት ይህን በቀጥታ ታገኛላችሁ። Okay, P52, Ryland, the other name of P52 is Ryland's fragment. This is dated around 125 up to 150, contain John chapter 18 and other parts of the earliest New Testament fragment. And P46, these are different types of papyrus. I've been discussing about Greek manuscript. So one of the Greek manuscript or the manuscript were written on papyrus. So this is papyrus. So papyrus, there are different types of papyrus. This is just read for use. So papyrus preserve early textual forms, frequently Alexandrian type, and crucial for their language knowledge. So the other manuscripts are ancient or majuscules. These are manuscripts written in capital Greek letters, as we discussed before. Capital Greek letters. If you find capital Alpha, then this is Alexander's or type of Alexander. So major codices, as we discussed before, what does that mean? Codice means it is prepared in a book form, but the material is not a paper. The material is it is parchment, not a paper. So, but it is prepared in like as a book. So Codex Sinaiticus is this is Hebraic version of the first letter, Aleph. You will find this 01 as well. This is Codex Sinaiticus, the abbreviation of Codex Sinaiticus. Codex Vaticanus is abbreviated Beta. Codex Alexandrinus is Alpha. Codex Beza is Zeta. And while latter this shows major text tradition and help to trace textual history and scribal tendencies. So ቅድም ያየናቸውን ምን አይነት ነገር ያጋጥመናል ስንመለከት የእነዚህን አብሪቬሽኖች ማወቅ አለብን። Okay, this is one of the ancient majuscule. So majuscule codices of the 4th century represents the earliest complete New Testament Codex Vaticanus. We are already illustrated what does that mean. So you will find in your online ታገኛላችሁ እነዚህ ነገሮች በእነዚህ ዌብሳይቶች ግቡና ማየት ትችላላችሁ። Okay, the majority of the Latin manuscript, particularly the minuscules are around 9th century, reflect the Byzantine text type as we discussed before. We have Alexandrian type, Byzantine type, and also Western types according to their geographical distribution. So most of the time, manuscripts were prepared during this time. So reflect the Byzantine text time. Although these manuscripts are numerically dominant, they are generally later in date. They form the textual base of texts. In art, families are Byzantine texts, which become dominant medieval Greek-speaking church, represented by majority manuscripts reading are often smoother and more harmonized with later. Activity is weight critical. Coptic, Boharic, and so on. We have this Armenian, Georgian, and so on, as we discuss, as we see in our textual decoding, that this is visible. Old Latin, Vulgate, VG is abbreviated as Vulgate, Syriac, Kosheta, Old Syriac, SY is Syriac, Copt, and SA is Coptic Sahidic, Copt, and Boh is abbreviated Coptic Amharic, and this is abbreviated. ስለዚህ በአብሪቬሽን የሚገለጹ ናቸው እዛ ውስጥ ቅድም ያየናቸው ቦታዎች ላይ Okay, these versions sometimes preserve reading older than many Greek manuscripts. So the other evidence is that, as we discussed before, patristic citations, church fathers frequently quote the New Testament, Origen, Irenaeus, Augustine of Hippo. The quotation helps to understand early textual forms and interpretive tradition. As we discussed before, when you observe this, you will find all that what we have been discussing before. So, for example, you have this Papyrus 86, this one is Alexandrian Witness, and this one is Sinaiticus, and so on. This one is lectionary, this one is Syriac, this one is Gregorian, so Georgian, this one is Patristic Father, Origen, Didymos, and so on. Scopt is there, Clement, Basil of Gregory Nyssa, Epiphanes, Serapion. These are the church fathers. And this and other abbreviation have their own meaning. So just see the meanings of each abbreviation in your text. I have already given you both of the texts. So you will find, especially these symbols are found in Buddhist 5 from page 8 up to 46. Read that one and then try to decode according to that abbreviation. This is used ቴክስቹዋል ቫሪያንት ሪዲንግ የሚቀመጠው እንደዚህ ነው ማለት ነው። ሶ ዩ አር ኤክስፔክትድ ቱ ሪድ ዚስ ቲንግስ ጀስት ዲኮድ ማድረጉን መልመድ አለባችሁ። እያንዳንዱ ምን ለማለት ነው የሚለው ነገር as we discussed before ምንም እንኳን እኛ ወደኋላ ተመልሰን ዲኮድ ብናደርገውም ነገር ግን ሬት ተደርጎ የተቀመጠልን ቅድም ሁለት መጽሐፍቶችን ሰጀስት አድርጌያለሁ። Right of Modern Neglect, as we discussed before. One of them is New Testament, sorry, UBS 5 and Nistlaland, Novum Testamentum, Nistlaland, 28th edition. We'll use that one. Okay. Modern Eclipse, as we Nistlaland, Novum Testamentum, Grace, and UBS 5. So they decide give us that reading rather than adhering exclusively to single manuscript or text style. Editors weight both the external evidence, age, geographical distribution, genealogical, and internal evidences, scribal tendency, intrinsic probability, and determine the most plausible original reading. You will find this in Miska. Okay, these are, as we discussed before, the information that we have found from the ancient manuscript with that external evidence. እስካሁን ድረስ የተነጋገርነው ኤክስተርናል ኤቪደንሶች ናቸው። whether ፓፒረስ ማቴሪያል ፓፒረስ ይሁን ፖርችመንት ይሁን ቬለም ይሁን whatever it is ፔፐር ይሁን ስፔሻሊ ሌክሽነሪዎች በተለይ ከማተሚያ ማሽን መምጣት በኋላ የተጻፉ ሌክሽነሪዎች። ስለዚህ እስካሁን የምንነጋገረው ስለምንድን ነው? ስለ ኤክስተርናል ኤቪደንስ ነው። ሶ ኤክስተርናል ኤቪደንሶችን እንዴት ነው? ኢንተርናል ኤቪደንስ ማለት ክፍሉ ላይ ስላለው ስለ ስታይሊስቲክ ጉዳይ ነው የምንነጋገረው። ክፍል ውስጥ ስላለው ሀሳብ አብሮ የመሄድና ያለመሄድ ኮንሲስተንሲ is there any consistency? Is there any align with the overall idea of the author or not? That is the internal evidence. Whereas this evaluating this ancient manuscript is external evidence. So, in doing our textual criticism, we have been evaluating both the external and internal evidences. As we discussed before, these papyri, majuscules, codice, these are given specific weight. Genealogical consolidarity is also one of the criteria for external evidence. According to Wallace, Daniel Wallace is well known that specific area. So manuscripts belong to the same type, share common ancestors. The major text type, Alexandrian, Western, Byzantine, reflect regional transmission histories. Alexandrian type, in particular, provides some of the earliest and most reliable witnesses. This is genealogy. ወይንም ከየትኞቹ ማኑስክሪፕት ነው የመጡት? That is genealogy. Genealogy of these texts. So Alexandrian text more reliable ናቸው. Okay, genealogical story and text type. Evaluation of external evidence, for example, in John chapter, as we discussed before, date and quality of manuscript, for example, priority is given to earlier and reliable witnesses, not on numerical ground, but on historical proximity to the autograph. Monogenes theos is supported by early papyri, as Papyrus 66, 4th century manuscript, witness. These are the 4th century Alexandrian witnesses, and Alexander representatives, article for homogeneous theos, as I have already discussed that one on the example. Just read what I have done for you. So genealogical relationship, how do you evaluate the genealogical relationship? Just read this that one. In general, just Alexandrian witnesses are more coherent and internal, diverse. Uh, in order to evaluate that specific text, we will discuss that one. Okay. Evaluation of internal evidence, transcriptional probability, as I said before. The question asked which reading best explains the rise of the author. We will discuss that one. Okay. Returning back to, we must add something else. Okay, have you seen this one? Okay. So decoding this, as we discussed before, those who support this one is monogenes theos. I have translated to English counterparts, which is a Greek one, and monogenes theos. That supports monogenes theos means this is the support of this one, and until this up to this one. እስከዚህ ድረስ የዚህ ሰፖርት ነው። ሞኖጌነስ ቲዎስ ከፊት ለፊቱ ይቀመጣል። monogenes theos. Okay. So when you read this one, this is monogenes means only begotten. This is monogenes means only begotten. This one is monogenes theos means only begotten God. There is no article. Take care about the article. No homogeneous. There is no homogeneous here for that. So strongly external evidence attested in the papyrus 66. The age of that specific manuscript or that specific papyrus is around 180. The original hand of Codex Sinaiticus. This one is. What does that mean? This and Codex Vaticanus. This one is. These are related to Codex Vaticanus and the original reading of Codex Ephraimite. Ephraim is also given. Okay, this one is Ephraimite. Yeah, this one is Ephraimite receptor. As well as Codex L. So it's reflected in Syriac Posheta and marginal reading of the Syriac Harklin version appears in second section of the Gregorian version. This is you will find this. If what does that mean? This Syriac Posheta, and what does that mean? This one and Gregorian version. This is what, yeah, Georgian version, Oregon, and so on. This is supported by the patristic citations, as we discussed before. One of the evidence is patristic citation. We have given different evidences of the earliest manuscripts are there, Greek manuscripts, especially the papyrus, manuscripts, and majuscules were given as the evidence. Okay, this is what does that mean? This is also among the church fathers. The reading is cited 2 out of 4 instances by Origen. What does that mean? 2/4. This is when you option was the difference between monogamous as an article before that. This is supported by these evidences. As we discussed before, the evidence are evaluated based on their age, their genealogy, and their also quality of materials and so on. So this is homogeneous theos, the only we have that because we have this article before that. So it's only begotten God with a definite article supported by these evidences, or the Zatmi Codex Sinaiticus, and manuscripts and so on. So among church side readings like that of Clement of Alexandria, out of 2 of 3 instances by Clement, etc. Theodota, 1 out of 2, Origen cited 2 out of 4, and Subius of Caesarea, 3 out of 7, and so on. Here's what does that mean, decoding means. I have been decoding this one and to this. Okay. What about the other? In favor of homogeneous oios, this is the only son, the only begotten son. Monogenes is the only begotten son, is supported by extensive and geographical widespread manuscript evidence. This is an example, by the way. This is an example. ሌላም ጊዜ ስታገኙ በዚህ መሰረት ነው ቴክስቹዋል ክሪቲክስ የሚሰሩት። ይሄ ምሳሌ ነው። So it is extensive and geographical widespread manuscripts evidence. It appears in the Codex Alexandros, corrected hand of Codex Ephemeris Receptus, and what does that mean, history, and so on. This is supported by this evidence, supported by this evidence. This homogeneous Uyos reading is supported by these evidences. So patristic support for this reading is likewise substantial. It's cited by the church fathers. Just read these church fathers. And in favor of homogeneous theos, this one is Uyos theos. So you have this decoding and so on. So what is that? Now, just we have been discussing the decoding that specific textual variants. UBS 5 assigns the phrase monogeneous theos as a B rating. It gives 5. It gives B rating. However, closer examination of the manuscript evidence suggests that early attestation is quite strong for both homogeneous theos and homogeneous oios. These 2 evidences have equal weight because it is evaluated based on our evidences. One may wonder about the absence of the article before monogeneous theos, yet the phrase is supported by substantial early witnesses, including 3rd century Papyrus 75, Codex Sinaiticus, several later manuscripts, and numerous other resources. In most translations, Homogeneous Oyos, the only son, is used to highlight Jesus' unique relationship with the Father. When a text shifts to his sense or nature, our textual decision becomes nuances. This helps to explain why US 5 committee assigned a relatively modest B rating. Nevertheless, while these considerations are weighted alongside other internal evidences, monogeneous theories still appear to be well supported and plausible reading. አንድያ አምላክ የሚለው ልጅ ወይም እዛ ክፍል ላይ ቅድም እንዳነበብ ነው አንደኛ አምላክ ብለን ማንበባችን ራሱ ትክክል ነው ማለት ነው። ሶ ያንን እንድንል የሚያስገድደን ምንድነው ምክንያታችን ወይም ያለን ኤቪደንስ ነው ዋና ውሳኔ። አንድያ ልጁ የሆነው ኦሬስ አንድያ አምላክ ሆነው ሶ ይህንን እንድንል የሚያደርገን ያለን ኤቪደንስ ነው። ቲንክ why they choose homogeneous አርቲክል ያለውን ነው እነሱ የመረጡት homogeneous theos ያ ማለት ያ ሶሪ ሁለት homogeneous theos and monogeneous theos comparisons እንዴት ነው ሁለቱን ኮምፔር እያደረግን ያለ ነው based on our evidences not anything else it is based on our evidences. The evidences are weighted according to their age, their geographical distribution, their genealogy, and different criteria are there. So based on that, we have these readings. So not only that, not only decoding these ancient manuscripts are there, but we must also see Textus receptors. I have already sent Textus receptors to you. Okay, Textus receptors, for example, we have that the Textus receptors is in Greek. Elzaber, you have this. Okay, just look, verse 18, homogeneous Oyos. You see, this is Textus receptors, homogeneous Oyos, the only begotten Son. This is what we read from Textus receptors. We discussed what are the value of Textus receptors. Okay. This is sample for you. Okay, Elzevir, I'm pronouncing correctly that. Okay, yeah. So Elzevir given this is Elzevir's technical three chapters. This was during 17th century 1624 ላይ ነው ትራንስሌት የተደረገው ሪሰርተርስ ነው ቴክስተስ ሪሰርተርስ ነው። ኦኬ ስለ ቴክስተስ ሪሰርተርስ ምን ይላል? ሆሞኖጌነስ ዩስ ይላል። So it neither provide a footnote nor an indication of the existence of textual variant in this passage. Similarly, there is also another scrivener. This is also similar to that of Elzevir, Textus Receptus. So both use the only begotten Son. This scrivener use the only begotten Son, or that of Elzevir also use the homogeneous use is similar. Okay. So translators note, just look translators note. Note ከታች የግርጌ ማስታወሻ የአይና ለምሳሌ ግርጌ ማስታወሻዎች አሉላችሁ። እነሱ ስለዚህ ስፔሲፊክ ቴክስት ምን አሉ? ፎር ኤግዛምፕል NIV notes the only begotten, some manuscript but only begotten son. While SB reads so the only one who is God, some manuscripts the only son. NKJV indicates that the next land new text reads only begotten son, and so on. This is why the translators differ. So the other step 4, don't forget these are the steps. Translator's handbook. I don't have an access for translator handbook, but instead of translator's handbook, I use US New Testament handbook series. I will send that one. Just US handbook series have ለእያንዳንዱ ይሄንን ቅድም ሰጠኋችሁ አና አርካይቭ ዶት ኦርግ ላይ ብትፈልጉ ታገኙታላችሁ። የሌሎችን አግኝቻለሁ። የዮሐንስ ወንጌልን አላገኘሁም፣ ራእይን አግኝቻለሁ። ሌሎችንም አግኝቻለሁ፣ ማርቆስን አግኝቻለሁ። So this is UBS handbook series. The presence of various reading and textual difficulties is the following. Reading the strongest Greek manuscript. This is taken from the UBS handbook series. So you have read these things. Strongest Greek manuscript evidence suppose the reading the only God, while one of the best single manuscripts is only God. The inclusion of the definite article appears to have been an ill attempt to improve the text. There is no way to explain how that was submitted. It was in the text originally as a Greek manuscript, the only son. This reading is tend to be there and such perhaps have an assimilation to Jones restriction. It's difficult to understand why this reading has been changed and so on. If one of the US committee recommendations and accepts the first textual, 270 is only got understood in two parties. So just assignmentaችሁን ስትሰሩ ልክ እንደዚሁ ነው የምትሰሩት። እንደዚሁ ሄዳችሁ አንብባችሁ ይሄን አንብቤ ነው የሰራሁት። ስለዚህ ሄዳችሁ ትራንስሌተር ሃንድቡክ ምን ይላል ክፍሉ ላይ የተሰጣችሁ ቴክስቹዋል ቫሪያንት ሪዲንግ ነው። አይ ቲንክ ማቴዎስ ወንጌል ምዕራፍ 6 ቁጥር 13 ነው የሰጠኋችሁ። እዛ ክፍል ላይ ቴክስቹዋል ቫሪያንት አለ የለም መጀመሪያ ማየት ምን አይነት ቴክስቹዋል ቫሪያንት ነው ያለው የሚለውን ኔትላል አንድ ላይ ሄዶ ማየት ከዛ ደግሞ ዩናይትድ ባይብል ሶሳይቲ ላይ ደግሞ ሄዳችሁ ዩኤስ 5 ላይ ሄዳችሁ ኮፒ አድርጋችሁ ማምጣት ዲኮድ ማድረግ እንዴት ዲኮድ ከዛ በኋላ ዲኮድ ያደረግናቸውን ማቴሪያሎች ደግሞ ኢቫሉዌት ማድረግ እንዴት አድርገን ኢቫሉዌት የምናደርገው ጀስት ይሄን ሳምፕል ፎሎ አፕ አድርጉ ፎሎ አፕ ዲስ ሳምፕል do the exercise or the assignment. This is an assignment. So translators handbooks are there. ይህን ካገኘው አፕሎድ አደርግላችኋለሁ። አይ ቲንክ የማቴዎስ ወንጌል አለ ትራንስሌተርስ ሃንድቡክ እሱ አውርጄ ልክላችኋለሁ። ልክ እንደዚሁ ነው የምትሰሩት። ምን እንዳሉ እዛ ክፍል ላይ የተለያዩ ማኑስክሪፕት ኤቪደንሶችን ያቀርባሉ። Okay, the other thing is textual commentaries. Mitzger is, as I said before, Mitzger is PC Study Bible and Target. Just download PC Study Bible 5, PC Study 5, PC Study Bible 5. ሌሎችም አክሰስ ካላችሁ ለምሳሌ ባይብል ወርክስ አክሰስ ካላችሁ እሱ ላይ ታገኛላችሁ ወይም ደግሞ ሊብሮኒክስ ካላችሁ እሱ ላይ ታገኛላችሁ። ሶ ሚትዝገር ልክ እንደ ዩቢኤስ አይነት ነው ግን ሞር ስፔሲፊክ ነው። ያ ቅድም ሞደርን ኤክሊፕስ ለያየናቸው አንዱ ሚትዝገር ነው። ከነ ዩቢኤስ እና ከነ ሚስትላላንድ በርግጥ የቀርብ ነው። ነገር ግን የተለያዩ ኤቪደንሶችን እንደዚሁ ተመሳሳይ የሆኑ ኤቪደንሶችን ይሰጠናል። ሞር ክሊር ነው። እዛ ላይ ክሊር ነው ውስብስብ ነገር የለውም። ኦኬ ከዛ በኋላ ምን እንዴት እንደሆነ እንደዚሁ ይህንን አይታችሁ መስራት ነው። ያንዳንዱ መጽሐፍ አስቀምጬላችኋለሁ የተካተቷቸውን። ሌላው ኮሜንተሪዎች ነው። አሁን ብዙ ጊዜ እኛ የምናደርገው ኮሜንተሪ ነው የምናየው። ኮሜንተሪ መጨረሻ ላይ ነው የሚታየው። ምን አይነት ኮሜንተሪዎችን ነው የምትጠቀሙት? ቴክስቹዋል ኮሜንተሪዎች ነው የምትጠቀሙት። ሶ ቴክስቹዋል ኮሜንተሪዎች ግሪክ ላይ ቤዝ ያደረጉ ቴክስቹዋል ኮሜንተሪዎች እነሱን ነው የምትጠቀሙት። ሶ ግሪክ ማኑስክሪፕት ለምሳሌ እኔ አሁን ዮሐንስ ወንጌል ስለሆነ ላይ ስለሆነ ቴክስቹዋል ቫሪያንት ሪዲንግ እየሰራ ያለው ዮሐንስ ወንጌል ላይ ያለ ከግሪክ ኒው ቴስታመንት ጋር ቁርኝት ያለውን ኮሜንተሪ ነው የተጠቀምኩት ማለት ነው። ሶ እዛ ላይ ይነግረኛል based on both external and internal evidence textual critics face a choice between two reading ይሄን ያገኘሁት ከአንድ ኮሜንተሪ ላይ ያንንም ኮሜንተሪ ሃሪስ ላይ አይቻለሁኝ። ስለዚህ ሃሪስ ላይ ያለውን ሀሳብ ምን እንደ ሰፖርት እንዳደረገ እሱ ምን እንደሚል እንደዚህ አይቻለሁ ማለት ነው። ሌላ ሁለተኛው ኮሜንተሪ ኮስተንበርገር አንደርስ ኮስተንበርገር እሱ ያቀረበውን ሀሳብ አይቻለሁ። ፎሎዊንግ ሃሪስ ኦከርስ ሃሪስን ተመሳሳይ ሃሪስ ያለውን እንደዚህ ይላል። እሱ እነዚህ ኮሜንተሪዎች ኤክሴጀቲካል ኮሜንተሪ ናቸው። ከግሪክ ቃላት ጋር የተያያዙ ጉዳዮችን ሶልቭ ያደረጉ ኮሜንተሪዎች ናቸው። ኦኬ ከዚህ ኮሜንተሪ ሳንወጣ በኤስቢ ስተዲ ባይብል ኖት አለው ምን እንደሚል ማለት ነው። ሌላው ኤንኢቲ ያለ ኒው ኤክስፖዚሽን ዩኒቲ ይሄን እነዚህን እንትኖች ኦንላይን ታገኛላችሁ። ኢንተርሊኒየር ብላችሁ ኦንላይን ታገኛላችሁ። እነዚህ ቴክስቹዋል ፕሮብሌምስ ሞኖጌኔቲዮስ ኦን ጋድ የሚለውን ይሄ ሙሉ ለሙሉ ከዛ ነው የወሰድኩት። ሶ ኤንኢቲ ምን እንደሚል እዚህ ጋር ያለውን ኮመን ሴንስ ኢንተርናል ኤቪደንስ ምን ይላል የሚለውንም እንደዚሁ ኮመን ሴንስ ከክፍሉ አንጻር ምንድነው ሰመራይዝ ማድረገው ብዬም እንደዚሁ አቅርባለሁ። አዘይንት ሰመራይዝ ያደርጋለሁ ውሳኔዎቼ ማለት ነው። በተለያዩ ነገሮችን ዲስከስ እንዳደረኩኝ እዚህ ጋር ጠቅሻለሁኝ። ሶ ሞኖጌነስ ቲዮስ መሆን አለበት ብዬ ኤቪደንስ አቅርቤ ወስኛለሁ ማለት ነው። የተጠቀምኳቸው መጽሐፍቶች እነዚህ ናቸው። This is an example for you. I think if you have any question regarding textual criticism, you are welcome. Yes, exactly.
Okay. ለትምህርቱ ምናልባት አዲስ ባለፉት ሳምንታት በተለያዩ ኬዞች ሊቀርቡ አልቻሉም።
Yes.
ድምጽ እየተሰማ አይደለም? የተሰጡትንም የቤት ስራዎች አይቻለሁ ግን አሁንም ስታስተምር በአብዛኛው የግሪክ እንትኖች ላይ ነው ፎከስ የሚያደርገው ያው ኤክሰጀሲስ እንደመሆኑ መጠን አሁን የግሪክ ባክግራውንድ ለሌለን ተማሪዎች የሆነ ተማሪም ጠይቋል ከዚህ በፊት በባለፈው ቪዲዮ ላይ ይቻለው ከነዚህ ጋራ መላመድ የምንችለው እጅግ አሁን ትንሽ የተወሳሰበ ከመጀመሪያው ጀምሮ ስከታተለ ምንም ሊመጣልኝ አልቻለም መስጠት አልቻልኩም አይደለም እንዴት ልትረዳኝ ትችላለህ ወይስ
ያ በመጀመሪያ ግሪክ ማድረግ አልነበረባችሁም በቅንፍ ውስጥ አለ አማርኛውን ሌሎችንም ማቴሪያሎችን ሌሎች ኢንተርሊኒየር ምንላቸው ማቴሪያሎችን አሉ ኢንተርሊኒየር ድንገት ግሪክ ደግሞ የተረሳችሁ ወይም ወስዳችሁት ረጅም ጊዜ ከቆያችሁም ሊረሳችሁ ስለሚችል ኢንተርሊኒየሮች አሉባችሁ ኢንተርሊኒየር ኦንላይን ላይ የሚፈልግ ኢንተርሊኒየር አለ ስለዚህ ያን ነገር ሪሶርሶቹን ልኬላችኋለሁ ክፍሉን ሄዳችሁ ኮፒ ፔስት አድርጋችሁ ኢንተርሊኒየር ላይ ማየት ትችላላችሁ ሶ ያንን እንደዛ ማድረግ ይቻላል ግሪክ ለተረሳችሁ እና አንዳንድ ነገሮችን ደግሞ ወደኋላ ተመልሳችሁ ሪቫይዝ ማድረግ አለባችሁ ማለት ነው ስለዚህ ትምህርቱ ኒው ቴስታመንት ኤክሰጀሲስ ነውና አይ ቲንክ ኤክሰጀሲስ ስንሰራ እነዚህ ነገሮች ያጋጥሙናል ስለዚህ this is the only occasion ይሄ ትምህርት ላይ ብቻ ነው የምታገኙት እንደዚህ አይነት ነገር ነው ስለዚህ ቫሪያንት ሪዲንጎችን እንዴት አድርገው ነው ኢቫሉዌት ያደረጉት የሚለው ነገር እናንተ እነሱን ተከትላችሁ ማየት መቻል አለባችሁ ማለት ነው አድቫይስ Is there any question? Yes, ዘላለም
እሺ ታንክ ዩ ይሰማል አሁን ድምጽ ይችላል
ይሰማል
አሁን ያየን ያለን ይሄ ቴክስቹዋል ቫሪያንሱን ነውና በተለያዩ ኮዶች የተጻፉ ቫሪያንሶችን ያየን ነውና ምናልባት አሁን በእነዚህ ቫሪያንሶች ቅድም ለምሳሌ ቢጎትን ሰን ያሉት አለ እንደገናም ደግሞ ቢጎትን ጋድም ያሉት አለና ለምን ያንን አይነት ነገር እንደተጠቀሙ ዋይ የሚል ኮዲንግ ጋር እዛ ጋር እናገኛለን ወይስ ኦንሊ ቫሪያንቷን ብቻ ነው የውስጡን አይደንቲፋይ እያደረገ ያለው ኮዲንጉ ማለት ነው?
ያ አሁን ቅድም የሰራነው ቫሪያንት ሪዲንግ ነው። ሁሉም ቦታ ላይ እናገኘው ቫሪያንት። ቅድም እንዳልነው ዮሐንስ ወንጌል ምዕራፍ 1 ቁጥር 18 ላይ ሄደን ስንመለከት ኢቭን የድሮ ትርጉምና አዲሱ መደበኛ ትርጉም ይለያያል። ክፍሉን ሄደን ስናነበው አንድያ ልጁን አንድ ልጁ የሆነው አምላክ ይልም አለ። ስለዚህ እንደዚህ አይነት ሪዲንጎች ከየት መጡ ነው? አይ ቲንክ ሁሉ ቦታም አናገኛቸውም። ግን ለምሳሌ ኤክሰጀሲስ ስንሰራ አንድ ዴሊሚትድ የሆነ ፓሴጅ ይኖረናል። ዴሊሚትድ ፓሴጅ ካለን ወይም ስለ አንድ ዩኒት ኦፍ ታውት የሚናገር ፓሴጅ ይኖረናል። ያንን ስለ አንድ ዩኒት ኦፍ ታውት የሚናገር ፓሴጅ ዴሊሚት ካደረግን በኋላ እዛ ክፍል ላይ ቫሪያንት ሪዲንግ አለ የለም? አሁን ዋናው ዓላማችን ምንድነው? የክፍሉን ትርጉም አፌክት ያደርጋል ወይስ አያደርግም? እና የክፍሉን ትርጉም ሲግኒፊካንትሊ አፌክት የሚያደርግ ከሆነ ቴክስቹዋል ክሪቲሲዝም እንሰራለን ማለት ነው በክፍሉ። ሶ ዚስ ኢዝ አን ኤግዛምፕል እንዴት እንደሚሰራ ሌላም ጊዜ ገጥመናል እና ቫሪያንት ሪዲንግ በጣም ብዙ ቦታ ቫሪያንት ሪዲንጎችን እናገኛለን። ሶ ቴክስቹዋል ክሪቲሲዝም እንዴት እንደሚሰራ ዚስ ኢዝ ሳምፕል ኤግዛምፕል። ስለዚህ ይሄ ሳምፕል ነው። አይ ቲንክ ሳምሶን አንድ ሳምንት የሚበቃችሁ ይመስለኛል። ለዛሬ ነበር አይደል? ባለፈው ሳምንት እንጨርሳለን የሚል እንትን ነበርና ሳስበው ምሳሌ ካልሰጠኋችሁ ትንሽ ውስብስብ ነገር ስለሆነ ቴክስቹዋል ክሪቲሲዝም በተወሰነ መልኩ ይከብዳል። ምሳሌውን ይሉትን በደንብ አድርጋችሁ መጽሐፍቶቹን ዲኮድ ለማድረግ አንብቡ። አይ ቲንክ አሁን ደግሞ ሌሎች እንትኖችም ይረዷችኋል እና እኛ እያንዳንዱን ሲምቦል ምን እንደሆነ እየጻፍን ነው የተረጎም ነው። አሁን ግን ቢያንስ ሌሎች መርጃ መሳሪያዎች አሉላችሁ። ስለዚህ የመጽሐፍቶቻቸውን ምን ለምሳሌ ሉቤስ 5 ላይ ሲምቦሎቹ ምን እንደሆኑ እያንዳንዱን ፓፒረስ 66 ምን እንደሆነ የተለያዩ ማስረጃዎች ምን እንደሆኑ ሲምቦላይዝ የሚያደርጉትን እዛው ላይ አለላችሁ። ስለዚህ ከዛው ዲኮድ ማድረግ ማለት አገጣጥሞ ነገሮችን አገጣጥሞ ይሄ ብሎ ማለት ነው። ስለዚህ ሁሌም አይገጥመንም። ክፍላችን ላይ ቫሪያንት ሪዲንግ ካለ ግን ግዴታ የተለያዩ ማኑስክሪፕት ኤቪደንሶችን ማየት ያስፈልገናል። እንዴት ነው ማኑስክሪፕት ኤቪደንሶች ኢቫሉዌት የሚደረጉት? ቅድም እንዳየነው ጂኦግራፊካል ዲስትሪቢዩሽኑ አንዱ ክራይቴሪያ ነው። ለምሳሌ አሌክሳንድሪያ እና በአሌክሳንድሪያ ዙሪያ የነበሩ ማኑስክሪፕቶች እንደ ፓፒረሶች ማለት ነው። ፓፒረሶች ብቻ ማለት ነው። ኮዳይሶች፣ ኮዳይስ ሳይናቲከስ፣ ኮዳይስ ቫቲካንስ፣ እነዚህ አይዊትነሶች ሞር ኤጅድ ናቸው፣ ሪሊያብል ናቸው። ስለዚህ በዛ ማኑስክሪፕት ሰፖርት ከተደረገ ሬቲንጉ ሞር ኤቪደንስድ ነው ማለት ነው። ጂኒኦሎጂያቸውን እናያለን። ጂኒኦሎጂ ማለት አንሲስተራቸው ማለት ነው። አንሲስተሮቻቸው ማለት ናቸው ጂኒኦሎጂ ነው። ኦኬ በኢሜይል የላኩልኝ እሺ፣ አሳይመንቱን ኢሜይል አድርጉልኝ። ኢሜይል አለላችሁ ሲለበስ ላይ በኢሜይል ላኩልኝ። ኦኬ ጀነራል ኩዌስችን ዘላለም ተመልሶ ይሆን አላወኩም።
ተመልሶልኛል። ሪዝኑን ነበረ ማለት ዲፍረንት ኖቴሽን ሲያቀርቡለት ለምሳሌ ቢጎትንሰን ያሉበት ምክንያት እንደተባለው ጂኦኖሎጂም ጂኦግራፊካሊም ሊሆን ይችላል። ሌላም መንገድ ኤጅም ሊሆን ይችላልና ግን ያንን ኔም አድርገው ማኑስክሪፕቱ ላይ ሲጽፉ ዋይ የሚለውን ሪዝን አብሮ እናገኘዋለን ወይ የሚለውን
Good. Good. Is there any question? Clear ያልሆነ ነገር ቴክስቹዋል ክሪቲሲዝም ወደ ኋላ ስለማንመለስ ኔክስት ወርድ ስተዲ እናጠናለን። ቪዲዮውን በደንብ እዩት፣ ምሳሌ እዩት፣ የላኩላችሁ መጽሐፍቶችን ዛሬ ጀምራችሁ እንዳይረሳችሁ አንብቧቸው። ከዛ አሳይመንት ስሩ። አይ ቲንክ ይሄን አክል ኖሃው ካላችሁ ያዳበራችሁ ደግሞ ትሄዳላችሁ ማለት ነው። Yes, ብርሃኑ go ahead.
Okay, thank you teacher. ያው ከዚህ በፊት ከቨር ፔጅ በሼር ባረኳችሁ መሰረት ከቨር ፔጁን እሱን ተጠቀማላችሁ የሚለውን አንስተ ነበርና ግን እዛ አታች ያረከው ከቨር ፔጅ እንደሌለ ነው አየሁትና ወይስ በዚህው ምን ሰራ ከሆነ ሪፈረንስ መጨረሻ አካባቢ አድርገን በዚህ አንተ በሰጠህን በዚህ በሳምፕል አንተ በሰራው ቴክስቹዋል ክሪቲሲዝም መሰረት ምን ሰራ ከሆነ ችግር የለውም ግን ከቨር ፔጅ የሚል ነገር ማንስተህ ስለነበር ነው ከቨር ፔጅ ሳይገባ በዚሁ መሰረት ምን ሰራ ከሆነ
ያ አይ በዚሁ መሰረት ስሩልኝ በዚሁ ልክ የኔው ምሳሌ ያያችሁ ለምሳሌ ማቴዎስ ወንጌል አይደል የሰጠዋችሁ
ያ
ማቴዎስ ወንጌልን ምን ታደርጋላችሁ መጀመሪያ እኔ 28 ላይ ሄዳችሁ ካታ ማቴው ይላል አኮርዲንግ ቱ ማቴው ማለት ነው ክፍሉን ስፔሲፊካሊ የት እንዳለ ኮፒ አድርጋችሁ ወርድ ላይ ታመጡታላችሁ ከዛ ያቺን እቺ ሁለት ስላሽ ነገር አለች አይደል እሷን ከሷ በፊት እና ከሷ በኋላ ያሉትን ነገሮች ያንዳንዱን ኮድ ታደርጋላችሁ ልክ እዚሁ ላይ እንዳላችሁ ማለት ነው እንደዛ ያላችሁ ፋይናሊ ይሄን ጨርሳችሁ ስታነቡት በደንብ ምን እንደምትሰሩ በደንብ ይገልጽላችኋል
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Is there any question?
Assignment to due date መች ነው የሚሆነው?
Yes. ዮናታን
የአሳይመንቱ ሰብሚሽን ዴት ዲው ዴት መች ነው የሚሆነው?
ዴድላይን ሳምንት የዛሬ ሳምንት ድረስ አስገቡ የዛሬ ሳምንት ድረስ በኢሜይል ላካችሁ አድርጉልኝ ኦኬ
ኢሜይል አድሬስም ሼር አድርገን
እሺ ሲሌበስ ላይ አለላችሁ ግሩፕ ላይም ቴክስት አደርጋችሁ ኦኬ መልካም ጊዜ ይሁንላችሁ አይ ቲንክ አንብቡ ጥያቄ ካላችሁ ቴክስት አድርጉልኝ ድንገት
ሲሌበስ ግን ልናገኝ አልቻለም ቲቸር
ያ በኋላ ላይ ጆይን ስላደረጋችሁ ነው እሺ ደግሜ ፎርዋርድ አደርገዋለሁ
ኦኬ
እሺ ቴንክ ዩ ያልገባችሁ ነገር ካለ እንደዚሁ ገብቼ እንትን ማለት እችላለሁ ጥያቄ ካላችሁ ጻፉልኝ ቴሌግራም ላይ ተባረኩ አመሰግናለሁ ስለነበረን ጊዜ
ሰላም ነው ተባረኩ
ተባረክ ቲቸር ጌታ ይባርክ